Hello, gem hunter. Imagine walking absent-mindedly down a dirt trail, listening to the dry sound of stones crunching beneath your feet, and without realizing it, kicking something that could completely change the course of your life. Does that sound like an exaggeration? Well, every day, ordinary people walk over hidden treasure chests, completely unaware of what they've left behind. Most look at an ugly, dull, irregular rock and immediately decide, that's worthless. But the earth doesn't follow our standards of beauty. It wraps rare diamonds and emeralds in rough, unassuming shells, as if testing who deserves to discover them. It's like finding a crumpled winning ticket in the seat of an old pair of pants, only multiplied by millions of years of geological formation. These treasures aren't just in distant mines, but also in your backyard, on the side of the road, or in the park where you walk your dog. The problem? Almost no one has the trained eye to recognize them. But if you stick with me, you'll discover the 5 stones that, even though they may seem like mineral waste, can turn a simple stroll into $1 million discovery. And perhaps after today, you'll never look at the ground the same way again. So, subscribe to the channel and activate the bell because you won't want to miss what's next. Among dull gravel and dusty paths, nature hides treasure chests so well camouflaged that you've probably walked right past one without even realizing it. Since ancient times, explorers and prospectors have learned to read the soil like someone deciphering a riddle. A simple different shade in the sand, an unusual fissure, or a faint glow was enough to spark the instinct for discovery. Today, however, we live so hurriedly that we miss signs that, to those who know how to observe, scream, "There's something rare here!" It's as if the earth is challenging us, hiding its greatest riches behind the most unattractive packaging. And the curious thing is that this code is still everywhere. In your backyard, on the side of a road, in the park where you're walking. Few have the patience to decipher it, which is why the greatest discoveries still belong to a select group of people with trained eyes. But what if, in the next few minutes, I show you how to identify these signs? What if I told you that some of the ugliest stones you've ever seen could hide a life-changing value? Most people step on treasures and don't even notice. A dull, irregularly shaped stone. To almost everyone, it's mineral waste. But for those who know thorough corundum, is a true warning. This rock, which at first glance resembles a piece of dirty gravel, can hide rubies and sapphires, gems that have changed the fate of entire families. In Sri Lanka, for example, there are records of farmers who found corundum in their backyards and sold the polished gems for millions of dollars. Rough corundum doesn't shine or immediately attract the eye. Its exterior is rough, with hues ranging from grayish to bluish to reddish, often covered by mineral crusts. To the untrained eye, it's invisible. To the trained eye, it's a winning ticket hidden in the dust. The Kimberly Toit, another master of camouflage. It looks like a piece of aged coal, with a porous texture and a color ranging from dark gray to grayish green. But what makes it so special is its origin. It comes from deep within the earth, brought to the surface by ancient volcanic eruptions that, along with the rock, carried diamonds. In regions of Africa, Russia, and Canada, the discovery of kimberlite led to the opening of mines that changed entire economies. To those who don't know how to identify it, it's just another unsightly rock in the road. But to those who understand, kimberlite is a natural marker, a solid clue that nearby one of the most coveted minerals on the planet may lie. A geodeis, perhaps the most theatrical of the 5. From the outside, it looks like a grayish, opaque, and lifeless stone egg. However, when cut or split, it reveals an internal spectacle. Cavities lined with gleaming crystals, which can be amethyst, quartz, or other dazzling mineral formations. They arise from ancient hollow spaces in volcanic or sedimentary rocks, slowly filled by minerals brought by water over thousands of years. In many regions, geodes were once ignored or used as weights, simply because no one imagined what was inside. It is the rock that teaches the simplest and most powerful lesson: don't judge by the outside. The Milky quartz, it's the stone that almost no one notices precisely because it's so common at first glance. It's opaque, with a whitish or slightly translucent coloration, and lacks the intense shine of other quartz varieties. But for prospectors and explorers, it's a warning sign. Its presence can indicate the proximity of gold veins or deposits of other valuable gemstones. Finding it abundantly in a given area is often the first step toward deeper investigations. Milky quartz isn't worth a fortune on its own, but it's like a sign from nature saying, keep looking, you're on the right track. Jade grossens this list with a flourish, or rather, a flourish. In its natural state, it is opaque, with hues ranging from dull greenish to brownish gray, often stained and visually unattractive. However, once cut, high-quality jade can fetch sky-high prices, especially in Asian markets, where it's a symbol of status, luck, and prosperity. It's dense, cool to the touch, and extremely scratch-resistant, characteristics that, for those who know what they're looking for, are clear signs of its identity. Yet, for most, it's just another pebble among many. The truth is, recognizing these stones is only the first step. The next question is where and how to find them. And before revealing this, leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and activate the bell, because the next tips can transform your outlook, and maybe even your destiny. Knowing these stones exist is only half the battle. The real secret lies in identify and locate each one. The first step is to train your eye for patterns that would normally go unnoticed. When observing a stone, notice its color, texture, shine, even minimal, and surface irregularities. For example, fissures that reveal a crystalline interior, smoother areas within a rough rock, or subtle hues different from the surroundings. A simple reflection in sunlight can be enough to indicate something special. To do this, get used to observing the ground at different times of the day, as morning or late afternoon light can highlight sparkles and colors that would otherwise go unseen under the midday sun. Attentive observation is what transforms what everyone sees into something only you see. As for the ideal places to look, 3 environments stand out: riverbeds, areas with a volcanic history, and natural gravel pits, accumulations of rocks on slopes or unstable terrain. In riverbeds, currents carry minerals and precious stones, trapping them in depressions or between larger rocks. Volcanic areas, in turn, can harbor geodes, quartz, and even kimberlite. Gravel pits act as a natural sieve. The heaviest stones tend to accumulate in specific spots, often mixed with sediment and other minerals. And here's a little-known tip. After heavy rains, these places become veritable stages for revelations, as the water removes the surface layer of dust and reveals previously hidden stones. In addition to knowing where to look, it is essential to have the right tools. A portable magnifying glass, 10x magnification, is essential for examining details, veins, and tiny crystals. A sturdy pocket knife or small knife can be used to test the stone's hardness. Harder minerals don't scratch easily. A geological hammer is useful for opening rocks, especially geodes, and a magnet can help identify metallic minerals. It's also worth carrying a microfiber cloth to clean dust or mud, that might be hiding the shine or color of a surface. And, to avoid confusing what you found, always have bags or boxes to store samples separately. Organization and care increase your chances of correctly evaluating what you found later. A crucial detail that many beginners overlook is the preliminary study of the land. Before you set out looking, it's worth researching geological maps of the region, satellite images, and even old photos that may indicate changes in the relief. Sites where mining took place, even if abandoned, may still hold small, forgotten deposits. Another strategy is to observe the vegetation. More arid areas with little vegetation cover may indicate soils rich in minerals and rare stones. Conversely, regions where there is visible erosion can also expose deeper layers of soil, revealing stones that were hidden for decades or even centuries. It's like having an advance clue before you even set foot in the location. Now, perhaps the most important point: patience and practice. Finding valuable stones isn't a sudden stroke of luck. It's the result of repetition, attention, and accumulated experience. Initially, it's common to mistake common stones for gems, and vice versa. So photograph your discoveries, compare them with specialized guides, and, whenever possible, show them to experts. Each mistake teaches you more about recognizing patterns, textures, and signs. Over time, what seemed like a worthless pile begins to reveal stories etched in every fissure and mineral grain. And to make this content even richer, tell me in the comments, which of these stones would you most like to find? Who knows, maybe your answer will become the subject of a future video. If you thought the previous 5 stones were rare, prepare to broaden your horizons even further. Nature is a tireless artisan, and among her creations are rocks that don't appear on popular lists, but carry immense value. Raw spinel, for example, may appear to be just an opaque, lifeless fragment, but when cut, it reveals intense colors like bright red, vibrant pink, or deep blue, hues that have even confused experts, leading many to believe they are rubies or sapphires. Another fascinating example is andalusite, a stone that, when cut at just the right angle, displays natural cross-shaped patterns, something so unique that collectors pay dearly for perfect pieces. The secret to finding these stones lies not only in knowing their names, but in understanding the environment in which they occur. They often appear camouflaged among more common rocks, such as quartz, feldspar, and mica, requiring a patient and trained eye to recognize them. The more you develop the skill, the more you realize that the ground holds clues that almost no one sees. But it's not just about the rocks themselves. The signs in the soil and landscape also tell stories. Certain minerals function as natural indicators, indicating that something valuable may be nearby. Tourmaline, for example, often appears accompanied by milky quartz and mica, forming a trio that, for an experienced prospector, is an invitation to investigate. Topaz, on the other hand, usually appears in regions with feldspar-rich soils, while rough garnet can indicate proximity to gold deposits. Even the color of the soil can be a clue. Areas with reddish or whitish soil, in contrast to the surroundings, may have unusual mineral concentrations. What makes this hunt so fascinating is that every detail, a fragment, a faint glow, an unusual texture, can be the beginning of a valuable discovery. And when you connect these clues, you realize that the mineral world is a puzzle where each piece can lead to something even greater. When you learn to see beyond the surface, you're not just discovering rare gems, you're reprogramming the way you see the world. Suddenly, every crack in the ground, every subtle glint, and every unusual texture stops being just another detail and becomes an invitation to investigate. And this goes far beyond geology. It's about realizing that in life, the greatest opportunities don't always come wrapped in pretty packaging. Often, what seems ordinary or even ugly is actually a treasure in disguise. This shift in mindset transforms the way you deal with people, projects, and decisions. Instead of quickly dismissing them, you observe, analyze, and understand. This is how we begin to find value where before there was only disinterest. It's as if, with each new discovery, the world becomes richer and full of possibilities. And if you stick with me, you'll realize that the next lesson isn't just about stones, but about how to interpret the signs that nature itself and life itself places in your path, almost like secret messages waiting for those who know how to read. If you've made it this far, you've already realized that the world holds secrets that most people will never notice, and that training your eye is like gaining a superpower capable of turning every walk into a treasure hunt. And now I want to extend a special invitation. Start practicing this skill today. On the next sidewalk, even if it's just around the corner, look at the ground carefully, observing the colors, textures, and reflections that would otherwise go unnoticed. And, to create a true community of explorers, comment below. I see value in the invisible, so I know you're committed to developing this unique perspective. If you can, also share which of these stones you'd most like to find. Who knows? Maybe your story will be featured in a future video. Remember, stored knowledge is only useful to you, but when shared, it can inspire others to change their worldview. So, leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and activate the bell, because I'll show you places and signs that almost no one knows about, but which may hide life-changing discoveries. What if the next stone you kick in the street is actually a diamond in disguise? Now that you know the signs and clues that almost no one notices, every walk can become a silent expedition in search of treasure. The truth is, nature leaves messages for those who know how to listen, and many of them aren't in stones, but in plants. Some species only grow in places where rare gems are hidden underground, as if they were silent guardians of riches. And that's exactly what the video now appearing on your screen is about. This plant survives only where there are emeralds, and almost no one knows about it. Click and discover how to identify this plant and use it as a clue to locate one of the most valuable minerals in the world. See you later, Gem Hunter.